What's up, everybody? We're going to do another Deadlock breakdown here today, and we'll be focusing on Bebop. And this is going to be a top EU PUG featuring, once again, MikaelS. I've really been enjoying watching him. Just very high-level mechanics, good understanding, constantly playing scrims, like top-level scrims and PUGs. So if we're going to be looking at the top level and kind of breaking it down so that we can kind of understand what we want to try to aspire towards in terms of decision making, in terms of skill, in terms of plays, then I think this is a good place to go. So let's look and see how we win this 2v2 lane, or perhaps how well we lose the lane, because sometimes you're going to be in losing lanes, and it's about how well you lose the lane, how little you give up, essentially. So it looks like we're with Warden here, and we're against McGinnis and Pocket. Lovely. So first of all, great hook. We got the hook around here. Obviously, this is a point of cover. We can see that we also stand in lots of different points of cover. Whenever you're looking at a top level of anything, there are common spots, common ways that your opponents will most optimally deal with certain problems. So, if you want to not take damage, there's certain amounts of cover that you need, but you also need to be proximus enough to deny or get the melee hits in. So that's a common spot, and that's why we get just a blind hook there, because the hook will kind of clip through corners and actually grab people, even if you can't see them on your screen. So that's something I think that's worth noting. So think about with your hooks, all of these common spots and how you can get angles on them that will allow you to get those connections, because with that said, we're going to get the lane pushed back towards us a little bit. McGinnis is really good at shoving the lane with the walls, and obviously Pocket also has a lot that he can do too between the barrage and the cloaks to really push lanes. So we'll see what we can do. We are quite pushed up at this point, so just trying to get our last hits. This also gives them the ability to try to get little bits of chip damage on us and harass, but we're staying fairly passive, and we're going to be starting to push the lane now again. So looking for that hook. We're going to take down the creep, trying to stay on top of the denies. Our Warden right now is fairly passive. Till Warden gets some abilities, some more experience, it's going to be perhaps harder to make some plays to start winning this lane and pushing it a little bit more. So we're on the back foot a little bit here, just trying to focus on those, just getting the souls. We're not being super aggressive in pushing the lane. We're trying to be somewhat conservative. Got to be very careful here. Look at how we just instantly dashed backwards and slid and just got out of there upon seeing two people just instantly get out of the fight. We're not looking to prioritize taking damage or really creating a fight. We want to make sure that the creeps are with us and that we're in a good position to do it. So if we get surprised by them, oh, they're just right here, we don't have to engage. We want to set up the engagement. And so usually there's some thought that goes into that, especially at this stage. Now the hook opportunity is not going to connect this time, maybe slightly out of range. And you can see here is an opportunity. This is like a good fight. The Warden was able to get the stun off, and the wall has to be used defensively by McGinnis. So we've got the creeps being kind of managed around just sort of the mid point of the lane at the moment. And we're not being too aggressive, because to push the lane even more, it would also open us to more damage. So we're trying to be conservative as to how aggressive we are at the moment in pushing these lanes. We're starting to do a bit better, though, in terms of the damage exchange. So that allows us to be a little bit more aggressive, because if they try to exchange damage with us and we exchange some equal amount with them, they're going to be in as bad of a spot as us. So they also want to try to manage their ability to stay on the lane, but also it's about thinking ahead and having health available to you for when you're able to make plays. So for one common thing is when you get your ultimate, you want to be able to be fully set up to make a big play with that when you first have your ultimate unlocked, depending on the hero you're playing. Ooh, that wall almost very nearly killed us. If that went a bit further, we would absolutely be dead. So that's definitely quite fortunate. So falling back into the lane to try to keep the souls going up, getting our denies, getting our last hits, and exchanging the damage. So we're losing out again on the damage battle. We're getting forced back, forced to play a little bit more passive. Again, trying to catch these hooks. I'm not able to catch that one onto the Pocket. And we're taking a lot of damage, so we're going to get the healing right. So healing right is a really good item to keep you on the lane, and it's if you want to go next level with it, you can actually figure out when your opponent is popping it, and it's very likely if they're popping it, they're going to okay. So we look directly up with the uppercut so that we're not pushing our opponent as far forward, and this is going to allow us to guarantee that we hit the uppercut, and then so close. No spirit leech for you, so that's unfortunate. So let's make this point. Just a couple of points. I got the healing right point, but also this point. So if you look directly up, like you flick your mouse up as you do the uppercut, they're not going to go as far forward. So it's going to be harder for them to run away from you. They're going to take more damage trying to get away because they have to run more distance to escape. And so that allows you to maximize your damage output just by looking straight up. Now, one of the reasons why you wouldn't want to instead just try to like turn around is because sometimes you can just miss them completely with the uppercut, and then you guarantee that you lose out on a lot of damage, as opposed to guaranteeing a lot of damage one way or the other, because it's tempting for people to kind of try to like get in front of them, like hook them, get in front of them, and then like push them back into the tower. But that's not usually effective, or as effective as you might think in every case. So with that said, the point with the healing right is that you can time the healing right that your opponent's popping and understand, okay, this is the cooldown, so this is kind of roughly when he's going to have it available. And based on his health, you're going to know when he has to pop it, and that means you know what spots he has to stand in to both stay on the lane, but also to not be exposed to take damage from you so that it cancels it out. So now what you've done is you've understanding where they're going to be and when most of the time to cancel it out. And if you're able to cancel the healing rights, you can pull ahead in the lane a lot, and you've completely negated that early pickup of that item from them. Okay, so I talked a lot about that. I think we caught, oh no, we missed the uppercut there. That might actually be a problem. Ooh, my god, that's so close. So okay, we get some info. Let's go back a little bit because I do want to. I was talking about the healing right thing. I try not to pause if I don't have to, but because I know people don't like that. But let's go back here because I do want to catch the decision to leave the lane because we didn't fully look at that. So we're talking about this healing right thing, the uppercut thing. We're still getting a loss. It's big, but again, like, you know, we are not obviously super successful on this lane. You know, our tower's taking quite a bit of damage. We haven't been able to really put too much pressure on their tower really at all. So, okay, we're popping the healing right. And I like this because in the time that the healing right's healing us, we're using that time not just to sit and wait and re-enter the lane, but we're going to another lane. And by the time we get towards this shop here, because we're trying to get a catch, so we've got the information on the map. So good comms from the team. It's actually kind of crazy how low Shiv was at the beginning of this fight and how Shiv almost won the fight too. That's at this level, pretty crazy. So yeah, so really nicely done there. You know, essentially turning that time that you're on the healing right into something that can be valuable for the team based on looking at the macro and reacting to what your teammates have spotted on the minimap. And then obviously we're crouching and walking around because we're trying to not give our sound cues away. And obviously that's important to think about. If you're trying to gank people, obviously don't give sound cues away. Generally speaking, you're going to get a lot of info because people are going to be pretty heavy-footed. People are not usually going to be creeping around. So if you start creeping by holding crouch and not making any noise, you'll often get the sound cues you need to make to set yourself up for a play. So just obviously depends on the scenario. Okay, so we're now just roaming on the Bebop. And we're going to find our way all the way to this purple lane. Obviously, a little mishook there. That's unfortunate. But good damage is going to take Vindicta out of the fight. And we're going to keep pursuing Vindicta. And teammates actually on the blue lane might be able to get here as well. What do we have? Mokril, Ivy, Hayes. So then they're not really in a good spot. There's a Lash there as well, jumping in. So this is becoming a pretty awkward fight. Ooh, and that ult was definitely not advisable. We're ulting there with low HP. We don't have really any support. We're obviously on the steps there, so we're pretty exposed. There's creeps all around us. Definitely a kind of a risky one. Felt a little bit desperate, but that happens to the best of us, as we can see. So, and the thing there is that, you know, we were very committed in chasing that Vindicta down. And I would say that that's likely an overcommitment, just not saying, okay, let's just give this one up. It's hard to sometimes make that call when you're playing, but that's obviously what's going to separate like really, truly the best players from the not so best players. The best players will be able to work out when they can cut a corner to really like get that extra bit of value and edge. And the good players will also understand when that's just too unlikely, when it's just too risky, and they'll have a pretty high success rate with making sure that they hold on to their advantages, and that when they do try to take a big risk, that it's going to pay off more often than not. So with that said, that's why you've got to get the hours in, because that's the only way to really figure that stuff out is by playing a lot. So, okay, we're back on our original lane. Since the tower is since gone, we need to push down their tower. It's almost at full HP. So after all that roaming, and all that roaming also gives Warden more experience, as he's able to just essentially, you know, farm the creep waves that we were leaving for him, which is kind of nice. And this is great damage there. getting on the rooftop. This pocket, pretty aggressive there, not necessarily expecting Bebop to come to lane to gank. And this is something that if you're roaming a lot, is you're basically just always missing from their perspective. So they can't just like be passive all the time. They kind of just have to take some kind of a risk and try to play their farm and try to again cut the corners. And so the pocket there, it's actually fine for him to be able to do that because he's got an amazing he's got amazing kit to be able to escape, between the satchel and the cloak. In particular, he's got a lot of ways to get out and to survive. So it allows him to take more risks, especially at this portion of the game, as long as he's keeping his eye on the mini-map. Because you might not know where Bebop is, but as long as you know where the rest of the team is, largely speaking, you at least know you're not going to get ganked by more than one extra person, which makes it manageable. And you also know that you need to watch out for hooks, because that's the way that Bebop is going to be successful in the ganks. So a couple points there. If you're someone that's trying to figure out the farming dynamics, and also if you're on a losing lane, I like that Bebop is a strong roamer. So I really like that we gave our Warden the ability to get more farm on that lane as we pick up camps, as we gank, and we push the objectives on the other lane. So we're effectively increasing our souls per minute by not just staying on this losing lane, even though the tower is still up, even at the 10-minute mark right now, and there's no one on that lane just yet. So we're going to continue the roaming here across mid. The urn is up. Oh my god, he spotted Lash. Okay, so this is another bit of I think top level meta understanding, like knowing some of the spots that people use to set up specific types of ambushes with specific heroes. Obviously, Lash is going to be like good Lash players will have a really good sense as to how to use high ground to set themselves up for plays, and because they're often going to be initiating for the team. So really good understanding there of that and what to look out for. Because if we're not looking out for that, because we got to take initiative by getting the hook. If we're not taking initiative, then it's very likely the Lash would have done, and that would have been bad for us. So really nice awareness. So now we're just picking up the farm on the purple lane. We've been roaming quite a bit, so you can see that our farm is not amazing. We're on parity with the rest of our team, but our team is about 10k, almost 10k behind. So. And one thing about the creep camps as well is, you do want to try to kill the creep camps as quickly as possible, like just as a general team thing, whoever it is on your team that's going to be better at farming or jungling, because you want to get the respawns coming back in as quickly as possible, in an ideal world. Obviously, the tier 3 camps are a little bit more challenging, and there are some heroes that have way better farmability on jungles than others. But yeah, we can see there's a big team fight right now all around the urn drop-off point on the left side of the map. But this gives us an ability to catch up a little bit with our farm. And I think we are looking for, that power spike for sure. And this gives us another objective. We've now got that spirit lifesteal item. We've got the boots. We've got burst fire. Yeah, we're starting to kind of build up our damage here on this more kind of gun build that we have going on at the moment. Okay, so that's brilliant. So we get the objective. Of course, our entire team benefits from the souls that we just collected there with that objective. And what do we... Hunter's Aura is amazing on Bebop because, when you hook people, they're usually going to be isolated, and that's going to be triple bullet resist to the negative on the opponent that you hook when you're hitting them. So you get insane damage output when you're close to them. You can see here that McGinnis is getting melted. And this Lash is going to be kind of cautious as well. We've got that bullets leech. So that's helping us on our sustain as well. And so now we're in a really good spot to be even more active. And this is should be a really nice kill here. This should be a lot of damage on this Abrams. Obviously Abrams is going to be the tankiest of the team and is potentially going to escape. Trying to use that ult to try to pin him down and finish him off, but not going to work out. So liberal usage of the ult there, I think that's important on Bebop. It can be difficult sometimes with Bebop to understand when to use it. Obviously, as you get more items and higher levels later in the game, there is a much more expanded use case that it can really dominate it can really dominate massive positions because people can't really kill you when you're doing it. It could be hard to potentially disable you. If you're really high in the air, you can get insane coverage. And these are the things that we tend to see more in the later game. And if you're higher in the air, by the way, you kind of need those later game items for the sustain for the life back, because otherwise, you know, if you're in the air, people are just going to burst you down. So, and the earlier points of the game, we're going to be using it more liberally. Nice little hook. Shiv is not perhaps someone we can maybe kill here. This is going to be very sketchy. Ooh, yeah, Shiv is very good in one-on-ones. So very, very good that we got the support there. Shiv really fancied that 1v1 against the Bebop, you could see, which, you know, he was continuing to push for it. So had we not had teammates around us, we would have been in trouble there. But fortunately we did, and I think that is, you know, it's knowledge that we have, that MikaelS is relying on. In that particular case, he's really like hoping his teammates who are nearby will help him out, which is the case. So back to the yellow lane, we're just obviously, again, looking to pick up farming. At this point, all the lanes are pushed, so it's really just, you know, picking which one you fancy the best. And they are going for this Walker, it seems, because there's a lot pushing here. You've got McGinnis, he's like setting up turrets along the way, and McGinnis is really, really strong at pushing objectives between the wall, between the ult, between the turrets and the heal. It's all extremely strong in terms of just securing objectives. So that's something I like to see whenever McGinnis is on the server, that the McGinnis player is really facilitating a lot of objective clearance early, because that can give you a big soul lead that can compound into the mid-late game, and that extra map control gives you a lot to work with as well. So I actually think for that reason McGinnis can be really, really, really beneficial in these team settings where you're a bit more coordinated. Okay, so we've got Abrams who's pretty deep here, and we've got a lot of teammates nearby, so hook is going to be missed. That's all right. And we are looking to, again, like clear these, like push these lanes a bit. There's, as you can see on the minimap right now, there's not really all that much farm available in terms of the jungle. So we're getting into more objective territory, and we've got a bunch of towers that we could choose to kill. There's the urn that's going to get picked up by our haze, it looks like. So given the fact that we don't have amazing map control right now, this is potentially dangerous for the haze. But haze is obviously pretty nice to pick this up with. You can pop the invis before you pick it up, and you can try to like run across the map. So it's pretty ideal. And so we're kind of caught between farming there and maybe trying to aim that hook. And so it looks like haze is taking a pretty passive route in the area of the map that we control, and is going to get that urn secured. And we're going to have a fight in the mid map. And they were trying to essentially find the haze, I think. And so they're all gathered mid map. This is something that you can kind of anticipate based on the urn being run. And in your games, if you're playing ranked games at lower levels, it might be the case that people are just super unaware of the urn and what's going on. But if you're getting to like better levels, like everybody should really be sort of in a way able to respond, because the urn is going to give the team that gets it obviously a pretty big edge, because you get so many more souls from doing that for your entire team. And which we're looking for a position here, but we couldn't really find one. So we get rid of the healing right there as well. By the way, I like the extra stamina, because just having the extra dash is just extremely valuable in maneuvering around. And especially, you know, if you're going to want to get into a fight to close that distance with range, and you do a dash jump, you know, just having that extra bit of stamina gives you something after you've done the dash jump to be able to like pursue or to fall back afterwards after a failed attempt. So it really just, I think, makes the extra difference. So just a quick point there about why I like the stamina item so much early on. So we're going to get back into the fight here on this green lane. This is where all the action is, kind of still spilling over from that earlier mid fight. And again, we have a lot of objectives that we need to clear, and that will really make the difference in souls. So we'll see if we can get there. Okay, nice catch there. And you can see this a little bit disjointed here. They need, like, they should absolutely be completely falling off here. Ooh, this is a really big catch. This is a really big catch. So, you know, any good team is going to recognize that when you go down someone early like that, you're now at a significant disadvantage on the fight. And so just completely disengaging is going to make more sense. As I say that, the Abrams is going to be just jumping in off the rope. And I don't think his teammates are nearby. They all pieced out. So a lot of free damage there. Not too much gained. Oh my goodness. So getting a lot of damage there off of the ult. Again, using the Bebop ult liberally is pretty important, I think, earlier on. Really nice instant hook. And you can see precisely like what I'm talking about. The Abrams went in without the support of his teammates, and previous to that, they had also lost one player. So they are essentially, you know, they get behind, and then instead of just biting the bullet and saying, okay, we're behind, let's reset as a team, buy time for our guy to come back up again, and try to just like hold the line, because they have like great ability to hold the line. They've got McGinnis after all. They instead decide to just keep like kind of staggering their push, and now that creates a significant advantage for us. And we also are in a position now whereby we have the sole lead, and we are still behind on some of the, at least one of the objectives. You can see one of the 3 walkers we're behind on. So you know, the soul lead is actually maybe a little bit bigger than it looks like in that sense, if you count the souls that will be up for grabs once that those walkers go down. So with that said, we have maxed both the hook and the punch. So this is definitely more of a gun build. That's why we're not really focusing on the bombs, because we're putting our money mostly into our bullet damage. And I like this. I think it's an easier way to play the game. It's more going to be probably more consistent potentially. Okay, so nice engage initiation there by the Abrams, and there's just nothing that we can do. I don't know if he came in off a rooftop or what exactly, but that was a complete surprise. Let's see if let's go back and let's see if there's a way that we could have predicted this. Let's see if we had enough information. So I went back about like 30 seconds here. Okay, so we go back and we do the farm. I just really want to see. Okay, so the entire team is missing right now. We see McGinnis on purple lane. Okay, and what does McGinnis tend to indicate? For us, you know, pushing objectives, this is the weakest of the objectives that they have, of the walkers that we have up. So it does stand to reason that she's pushing this lane. If she's pushing this lane, it's possible that she's doing it alone. But the fact that everybody's missing on the map, we have to be worried about this side of the map right now. Because if she is alone, she's going to have teammates coming with her, because pushing the objective is the most reasonable assumption that we can make. So being on high alert here, we see the Abrams there also. Oh no, that wasn't the Abrams, that was somebody else, I think. Maybe it was the Abrams. But yeah, that's like a beautiful gank actually, because with the McGinnis pushing this side of the map, kind of sweeping across here is like a great way to catch the reaction, the macro reaction from us, because we are now like, oh, we have to respect the fact that McGinnis is pushing purple, so we have to run across to that position to defend it. And so by instead of just pushing down the lane, having the like 3 or 4 players on the other team coming through from the side like that is going to catch us in rotation most likely. So I really actually think that's an amazing, like whether or not it was intentional in that way, that was a great play from the opposing team. Okay, so now we're going to... We don't care about the bomb. I don't think. I think it's going to be ult, right? Because we just don't care about the bombs. Okay, yeah. So we're going to get the ult upgraded there. Okay, so we are going to go back out in this blue lane, and they all disappeared. So they could be anywhere. But we see 3 on the map now on green, and then Shiv is now spotted on blue. So we're trying to get our way towards green, but we're going to be a little bit late. So we're alone, and there's a lot of them. You may have got a catch there, but the only issue is that if we do get a catch here, it does feel like there's a lot. We can potentially get, you know, slammed by several people. So we've got to be very cautious. Again, a lot of them were missing. We saw 3 in that area. We are alone. But I do respect the being active and being aggressive here. Because also when you're spotted, there will be a reaction. We've got 2 players here in top mid. Getting rid of that turret's nice. These turrets are just very frustrating to deal with if they're just able to just rail into you when a fight's actually happening, and you don't have the ability to necessarily target down a tanky turret. Great catch. Pushes in against the pillar. Unable to finish it off though. Pocket comes in with the Affliction and also the Barrage, or the Barrage and then the Affliction. So this is the benefit. I'm going to pause again. This is the benefit of map control. It feels fairly safe that we're here, but if you consider that all of our lanes are like pushed down, it actually, you know, these spots are very easy for them to occupy and to be hanging out in. So as we try to collect the farm, the little farm that we get on the lane, that is a ganking opportunity for them. And that's precisely what just happened. So let's skip ahead so we can come back. Okay, so we're back. So we'll collect this farm here on this green lane. So we're about 10, 11k behind on the souls overall. So not really the end of the world. What they've been doing really effectively though is they've been doing... Oh, okay, so we hear the mid boss. It's half HP because it just went, was just crying or whatever. So they are doing the mid boss. And oh my god, Lash was so high up in the sky there. Okay, so we're gonna... Okay, so this is an interesting angle. Really interesting angle for the the ult. I actually haven't seen a Bebop do that, so that's really cool. That's a nice little thing that we can learn. That can be a nice little setup. Because even if there's only like a 2 or 3 of you, you might be able to like create like enough chaos there to like facilitate a steal, but also get a lot of damage if your team's dropping in. That's a really nice way to try and fight right as they are trying to pick up the rejuvenation. So it didn't work out though, but and we're looking to see what else we're going to pick up here in terms of the gun build. So just really focusing on that gun damage.
I'll get better in like a couple days. I'll be like 40 matches in 2 days.
So ultimately, like, pretty well played. You know, the fact that we got the steal on the rejuve was pretty insane. Okay, so we're going to be dealing with the walkers now. We obviously like wiped their team, so that's like pretty nice. In comes the lash to slow things down, and we've got also more of us kind of just hanging out here, but we only have 3, so it's a little bit sketch. We pick up the urns. This is really nice. That forward pressure is threatening the walker, so they have to kind of respond by having players to defend that, which gives us, with all of the map controls, just a complete free urn behind that last team fight. Really nice. So getting a bit more of the farm. There are some camps up on the right side of the map, at top right, where there's fighting right now. We're trying to get there. Do we try to hook a teammate? Oh, yeah. I mean, we tried. That would have been really nice. So what they're doing here is, they're able to get those 2 kills, and they're able to push off of that. So we've got Lash going in pretty aggressively. And at this point in the game, we're 25 minutes in, the Lash is going to have a lot of items that is going to help him to get some really crazy initiations. So you're not necessarily as safe as you might think you are, because, obviously we're always judging distance. And they're figuring out what is the safe distance where I'm just outside of the range for them to be able to initiate on me, so I don't have to worry about that. That's like a pretty important aspect to this, and it changes as the game goes on, obviously. Bebop is actually an amazing example of this, because as he gets more range on the hook, obviously that is the distance away from him in which you're safe is right outside of that range, and it increases a lot over the course of the game, so you have to adjust your expectations with that. And obviously many heroes are like that in terms of that principle. Oh, very cool. So we get Ivy picking up Haze to deliver the urn. This is great. This is really cool, actually. And that's a really nice way to do it. That's fun. So we get another urn. So you can see that, like, we're not trying to force anything right now. We're just trying to get more souls, pick up objectives, like get the farm that's coming to us. And now we're kind of grouped up as a team. Now there is that walker that's still up that we want to deal with eventually, but we're in a good spot to potentially get a team fight here around these jungles, and they're actually going to engage against us, which I don't know that it's going to be great for them. We'll see. It's an awkward fight though. We're going to have to fall back out of this choke, and they're going to be pursuing into the choke. So we're backing away and still sort of controlling the fight, but it looks like we lost the 2 teammates that were on the side, and that's a problem. That's kind of a problem. So, okay, I'll make the point in a moment. We're going to have the fight continue here. Lash initiating with the ult, and it's just pain. It's just, okay. So positionally, I want to talk about this real quick. Okay, let's look at this positionally for our team. This type of stuff, like the positional coordination, is a big deal. If we try to understand this more, we'll be able to set ourselves up for more success more as well. Okay, so we're kind of at the front here, and I want to see what the split is. Because I think we have basically 3 on the left side, or 4, and then 2 on the right side. Yeah, so on the right side, we've got Warden, and we've got our Mo and Krill, who are trying to fight the Abrams. Okay, so McGinnis, and Pock and Shiv have also appeared on that side. And now we are basically split up on 2 sides, and they're engaging us in a choke that's not very good for us to fight in, because it's just a very easy area to use skills. It's a very easy area for them to get damage on you, just because of the nature of the geometry here in the map. So we fall out into this choke, and so at this point, as we fall out here, potentially there's a positional advantage in the sense that anyone coming to pursue us has to jump over here, which gives us an advantage on damage. But the issue here is that we are very separated from the rest of our team now. And these players that are up here, they don't necessarily have to jump across. One or two could split off to get numbers advantage on our teammates on the side. And we have Hayes in the back looking for a flank. But because Hayes is looking for a flank and we are pushed back in this way, now Hayes is isolated and cannot get as good of a flank timing and is getting isolated there and is going to die, I think. Yeah, so we lose 2 on the side. Hayes tries to get the ult off. Hayes is surely dying here as well, I think. Yeah, Hayes already died. So then they deal with us. So okay, so this is the interesting idea. I just want to cover this because this is something it's hard to understand sometimes. Like you get a feeling as to like how you lost these fights, but I think in looking at it, it's helpful. So in them winning that initial push on the one side, enforcing us back, it harmed our flank. It made our flank useless. And so our flank is useless. And then it also gave them the option for them to positionally reroute themselves to then have numbers advantage on our teammates. So this is I think, why this fight was lost. And it's interesting because I think when you get to the really high level, obviously, teams are going to be really good about understanding how to make these calls positionally on the fly. And they'll be able to, they'll do their own VOD review and analysis, and they'll be able to recognize, oh, okay, I'm going to look at this snapshot of the minimap and I'm going to understand what I need to do without there having to be an audible that's called. Because in these scenarios, it's very hard to call audibles because there's too much going on. Each individual on a team in these types of environments needs to be able to make the decision or understand what the decision is supposed to be. And there's many different ways you can get there as a top level team. Oftentimes you run these scenarios, you do the VOD review sessions together, and you all sort of get on the same page about how you anticipate or how you respond to specific scenarios. And taking any TAC FPS as an example, TAC FPSs have very default ways of understanding how to play out advantages or disadvantages. And so you can categorize those in different ways. It can be as simple as, okay, we're in a 5v4. Okay, we have the advantage. How does that change what their options are, and therefore, like, how do they win, and therefore, what do we have to avoid to allow them to recover, and how do we play our advantage to leverage it so that we get further ahead? It's very simple when you put it like that, but obviously in practice, it's quite difficult when you got, in this case, 6 people that you have to have on the same page. So that team fight put us massively behind, which is, I think, another reason why it's important to focus on it. Because we're now like 20k souls behind, and I think we've been doing better on the ends and stuff, but they've been doing way better on the team fights. So let's see if we can find a way to rectify this. We're going to move in to finish off this Blue Walker finally. But yeah, positioning and team coordination at the end stages of this game really truly is, I think, what will decide the games, because you've got everyone who's very powerful, but it's about in what order do you get the skills off? How do you combine them? How do you synergize them? And how do you isolate, your opponents so that they can't do that to you? It's that's what it's all about. So Abrams is forced to ult to get out. And so this should be potentially a good opportunity. The uppercut misses. I like that we just give up the fight straight away there. We try to get out after the uppercut misses. Pocket's going to get bounced up by his own ability. And we are struggling to be in the fight here because of Affliction. Affliction is kind of wrecking us. You almost want debuff remover, to be honest, for this, given how much damage it does. But we'll see what we're able to do. There are certain abilities that can be really, really painful, as your enemy heroes get itemized in particular ways that you might need to get the debuff remover, or you might need to get the metal skin if Haze is causing a problem, etc. At this stage of the game. Oh, that is very... Okay, so we're behind the veil, but that wall is a problem. It's actually really nice that MikaelS didn't have any assistance immediately, but we're getting stuck on the turret now. I think we literally got stuck on the turret there. Almost died because of it. We're trying to stay in the fight on like very limited HP. We're going to get some HP back there. The wall is really nice from the beginning, so that's going to prevent us. We're in a very, very precarious position here. You want to try to stay in the fight so you can have impact. You don't want to just like go back. Oh, those turrets are actually too good right now. I'm trying to 1v2 these turrets, not happening. Because they're in the heal. Miggin's heal. Dude, the turrets are like nasty, dude. So we stay in the fight, which is really good to do if possible. Obviously, it can really go very badly and very wrong for you, but at this stage of the game, it's really important that we win these fights. And you need to cut corners to do so. We know that we have the lifesteal, so obviously we just have to hit some free damage and we'll heal ourselves back up. So now we're in like pretty good spot. This Abrams is in trouble. We've got some teammates coming in here, gets a punch that's going to heal him up. He's in a good spot to get more punches in. He's unlucky not to get 2 people with that punch. Another punch comes in for the heal, but finally able to get him down. So we managed to kill 5 people by isolating them. That's mid-boss off of that in just super obvious decision-making. This is going to swing us back ahead with the souls after winning this fight. Let's go back quickly to see how we won this fight. This is a very different fight to the previous one. So this is one of those fights where it kind of starts out like everyone's kind of around the same area, and we've got all these awkward choke points, and so we've got the fight happening, where people are engaging, disengaging, engaging, disengaging, engaging, disengaging, thinking that they can get the edge, and then having to fall back again. And so we're able to get the positional advantages. If you look at the mini map here, we have this initial focus on this choke point. And Mo goes in. So Mo goes in around the back, and then that pushes them further back. And so that creates more space as they're routed. And Hayes is in the flank here, and Ivy's coming on the side. So we have more coverage around the fight to do damage. So this is like basic military strategy stuff where if you can surround your opponents, you're going to likely have a very good time if you surround their position. If you are the ones being surrounded, you'll likely have a poor time. So because of the way that fight went and how everyone got split up here, this is what I was talking about previously, where I'll just go back to the mid boss in the fight now. This is what I was talking about previously, where I was saying how it's really important. What was I saying? It's really important to understand the positional game. I don't know. I honestly don't know. Obviously, that is important. Maybe it'll come back to me what I was trying to say. But yes, so that was a very different type of fight because the previous one was a full-on team fight where there was just a split and then they got surrounded and then we got surrounded and in a way that was very inefficient. And this time it was kind of the opposite where they got surrounded because of how they were engaging the fight. And the fights in this game can be interesting because they're so dynamic. And one person can just like feel like, oh, I can maybe get some more out of this. So they'll start pushing. Then a teammate will get committed into that push as well. And then that's not going so well. So then they fall back. And then the other team, they get this feeling that, oh, we can keep pushing and we can get these kills. So they push forwards. But then because they're being aggressive, maybe they take damage because you have teammates coming in to help. And so then they have to fall back. And then there's this, that can be the level that we're in oftentimes in these fights. So you've got to be really good at understanding like principally how to make these positional choices. And I think again, like the positional understanding is going to be like one of the most important skills in this game. And one of the things that is going to be important, once you get your head around the basics, if you're new to this game, is really trying to find more and more and more time as you're playing and shooting stuff to be looking at the mini map, because you need to be able to assess the macro as consistently as you can so that you understand what's going on in the map, how, like what's brewing. So like, just like any snapshot of the game. Okay. So we just killed a bunch. We just got this orb. We have the rejuvenation buff as well. So, and they're down a player. So what are they going to do? They're like push on every lane. Well, they don't really have any options. The only options they really have is to defend. And try to buy time for their sixth player to get up. That's basically the only option that they possibly have right now, as well as capturing maybe some of the farm that's at the base of these lanes now. So we have full map control, and we're in a situation where we want to use our buff and our rejuvenation buff. So that's going to compel us to actually push. We're going to get some free farm across the map. And so like if you really want to play this super optimally, you want to try to clean up all the farm and objectives you can on the map before you go into the push. And you want to obviously die with the buff still. So you don't want to just run in with the buff, because then you're giving up potential farm. Because in this particular case, they have to defend, because they have to defend and win a team fight. Okay, so they're actually going in right now around the shop here by that creep camp. and we are getting caught before we're ready to have a fight. But it looks like these close quarters engagements, obviously Hayes is able to get a really good ult off there, which is always very tricky in these close quarters. So they were okay. So they made a big boo-boo there. They made a big mistake. So as I said, I mean, so there's two ways you could look at it. Actually, there are two options, and so it might not be technically a mistake. So the two options that they have are to fully defend as 6 against this push and use the defensive advantage. There is one problem with this. The opposing team, as they're pushing, will get more farmed by doing this. Or at least that's going to be one of the potential problems of it. And they can always like disengage. So in a perfect world, what you want to have happen is you want to obviously like wipe their team. So what's probably more likely for you to be able to wipe their team is to try to just catch them as they're setting the push up, which that might have been what they were trying to do. And this is a very like common idea as well in tactical FPS games, that at the pro level in TAC FPS, you always want to disrupt your opponent's plans, because typically it's always going to be that one team has advantage, one team has disadvantage. So if a team has the advantage, or even if it's like, so for example, like let's say they don't necessarily have a clear advantage in numbers, but maybe they have an advantage strategically. Like let's say it's the case that they've got a really strong default, and if you allow them to set their default up correctly, they're going to take map control away from you, and then they're going to have like a really nice play that kind of goes off of that specific scenario that's going to be strong. So you want to prevent them from getting into a position where they can actually do that. You need to disrupt their default before that they can set stuff up, and that's going to be the most effective way to deal with a top-level team. Because a top-level team is going to be so good on the fundamentals, if they set up an advantage, then they're going to execute it and they'll win. So you can't allow that to be the case. This is a top-level PUG. This is not a super coordinated scrim, so that's a little bit different. But I still felt like it was an interesting point to make. Because we're looking at this game. I'm looking at this game and seeing kind of how is it going to shape up at the pro level in the future. But anyway, definitely interesting game to watch. I think there was some interesting points made, even though we didn't get like this huge game from MikaelS. I think we got a lot of interesting scenarios. So I hope you guys like this one too, and let me know through the feedback whether you want these to be shorter. Do you want me to cut these up? Do you want me to do you like it like this, where I'm talking throughout and raising different points? Let me know what you like, and we'll refine the videos for you.